think you're live. I don't think I am.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for agreeing to answer some of my questions.
Sure.
So let's talk about love bombing because this is some seriously messed up stuff, huh? How real is this love bombing? Do you know that you're just trying to lure us in? Are you very aware of what you're doing to us?
Can we wait a minute though? Can we? I don't think there's very many people here yet. Um,
Okay, yeah,
well,
sure.
why don't you introduce yourself and your channel?
Yeah, of course. My name is Sky, and my channel is The Borderline with Christ. And here in my channel, I try to raise awareness about cluster B personalities, but specifically, I like to focus on exposing narcissistic abuse as I've had to deal with this. And I think it's really important that people inform themselves because of just a lot of damage that can be caused.
How many times have you experienced it?
Um, well, I was raised in a narcissistic family dynamic, but my worst experience with it was with my ex-husband. I would say that he's a malignant narcissist, and so myself and my children were put through some pretty severe abuse from him. And I had no idea what was really going on at the time until after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what about you?
Have
What's
you?
your channel for anyone on my page that doesn't know?
Were you able? How long did it take you to figure it out?
What is it?
What'd you say?
What was your question?
How long did it take you to figure it out?
How long did it take me to figure it out? Basically one of our last interactions when his mask was just finally off, and he was basically laughing at what was happening, and I realized this is not at all who I thought this was, and I started researching basically, and I came to understand that it was all a facade, and I had been fooled basically this entire time, thinking that one day we would get back to the beginning stages of our relationship, but I understood that I was just someone he used basically to get what he needed during that time.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Who was the first person you seen on, let's say, YouTube that might have educated you a little bit about it?
Yeah. I would say obviously Sam Vaknin is very helpful. I He basically described my entire relationship and what was happening, because I didn't understand why I was acting so out of character, why I couldn't function anymore, why I had such a stable, peaceful life before meeting my ex, and I couldn't recognize myself by the end. I didn't understand what had happened seriously, and so he really helped explain what had happened in the relationship, why my ex was acting like that, and what had happened to myself, why I deteriorated to that degree, basically, just like incapable of making simple choices like anything, like going to the grocery store or eating or what to wear, right? Nothing. I could not make a single choice of anything, which was just not the person I was before meeting him. Sam Vaknin, also Cluster B Milkshake has been helpful. Your channel has been helpful, but also a lot of victims of narcissistic abuse, their pages have been very helpful because I resonated and I could see the pattern that it's like, oh, this is like a whole thing. It wasn't just like an individual personal thing that only happened to me. It seems like everyone has a very similar story. So that was that was really educating for myself, basically. Well, do you mind if I get into asking some more questions, or do you want to talk a bit more about our channels or about our stuff? Can you hear me?
You had asked about love bombing?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to get into love bombing and how real that is, if you know that you're just luring us in, or how much of it is genuine on your side.
Love bombing, yeah, it's kind of real in the beginning, and it's a way that we deceive ourselves, I think, because we want it to be real, if that makes sense. And um, we need it to be real in the very beginning. So we fall into it as well as the victim, obviously, you know. So
Okay.
does that make sense so far?
Yeah, I guess if you could elaborate, like, do you genuinely believe we are the best person ever, or are you just kind of saying that to yourself and trying to convince yourself that we're the best person ever for you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, we genuinely believe it. Yeah,
You do. Okay.
100%, at least for a while. But we're also deeply insecure. So, like, any comparison to your ex, that could drive us insane. Any type of comparison, like anything, like if I buy you like 6 roses, remember? I think we talked about it. And then like you say, well, my ex bought me a dozen. I'm like, well, why don't you go back to him like that?
Right.
So
Right. I've actually noticed, like, even things that um I wouldn't even think are being compared. Like, for example, just mentioning, like, I went hiking here in the past, right? But just they knowing that I was with someone at that point is just like an attack on them. The fact that I kind of like that you exist before the person. Is that true? Do you feel like just jealous that we had life before meeting you, or not?
yeah,
Yeah, I can see that. Um So I don't know if this is you, but it seems like a lot of narcs like want to be victimized, which is kind of like contradicting because they're like grandiose and the best, but some, or maybe all, I'm not sure, maybe it depends on what mood they're in. It seems like they genuinely want to be victimized. Why is this?
so the love bombing, you understand that better, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I I feel like I have a bit more clarity on it. Like you in a way lure yourself in because you're buying into it as well. At least at the beginning.
Okay.
Um, okay, yeah.
You want me to elaborate
And so,
more on that, or
what was that?
you want me to elaborate something else I thought of on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, real quick, I'll backtrack. So the love bombing is the most brutally efficient way to make you fall in love with us. You know that. And it's fast and we accelerate it. And I just wanted to say that we accelerate it because we know it's impossible to last. And deep down, I think the victim knows that, but it feels so good and they want it and they need it and they want to feel that every day. So, real quick, I just want to mention because what ends up happening is they will start degrading you and abusing you. However, you can't see that or feel that properly like a normal person would in a healthy relationship. And the reason why is you're living off of four dirty words in a narcissist relationship. HOPE, four letters. That word, hope. And
Yeah.
you keep hope in your heart. You keep hope alive, and you wish and hope this person goes back to the beginning, and that's all you have left over after they pretty much erase you from the inside out. So if it wasn't for hope and the false narrative in the beginning of the relationship, the love bombing, it's an act. If it wasn't for
Yeah.
that, we'd never succeed because we know deep down if you actually got to know us, you probably wouldn't be, talking to us. So, and we know that. So we have to put this act on and we have to accelerate the love bomb. And another small part of it, well, a big part of this is once we get that out of the way, we can finally relax. You've been love bombed. We're exchanging wedding vows. We're having kids. We're buying homes. We're
Yep.
putting our bank accounts together. Now
Yep.
that's all possible. So now you're kind of screwed. You're like, well, wait a minute. What the hell happened to this guy? And we know
Yep.
that. We know it. So now we can start the insults, the abuse.
Now we're
And
tied.
yeah, it's a relief in some ways. It's a gigantic relief for the narcissist because they could be themselves basically and, erase you. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. And can I actually ask a bit more about, because you said, it's kind of like, you need to rush it to a certain degree because it's exhausting to keep up the love bombing and this perfectness, right? So when, like, at some point, then I guess what I'm saying, you said the love bombing is genuine, like you believe it too at the beginning.
Yeah,
You
you know,
believe that the person is like the best, but even when you believe the person is the best, you're still pretending to be chivalrous and all this stuff and all great, or do you genuinely feel like that, or this is just an act that you're doing, but you do think that person's great at the beginning?
everything is true. Yes. I don't know how you know
Okay.
that. Pretty much
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, and I just want to say a little bit on from my side, right? As a borderline where we have no boundaries and we have this intense desire to have this emotional intimacy and feel love. A lot of us have never felt love, unconditional love, from our families and things like that. So when we get love bombed, it feels like finally there's a person that can see me and love me like no one ever did, and now they finally do, and it's like an extra, like for me it's like I feel like I need to get love bombed if I don't feel that intense like this, since I've never had healthy relationships. It feels like, if someone's taking it slow, it's like, well, they must not actually see anything in me, right? They're just like, is she okay, is she not okay? But when I receive a love bomb from a narc, it's like, wow, they really see me. And so you're right, it's like we cling on to that hope because it's that love that we've always wanted that we never got, and this person can provide it. They've shown us they can provide it. They've shown us they can see something in us, and you're right. So those four letters are definitely everything. We definitely cling on to hope. I can definitely say that despite everything, I was clinging on to hope until the very end, where it included harm to my child as well, and just the laughing, that I was like, okay, that this is too far. But the hope, you're totally right about that. Thank you for for elaborating on that. That brings a lot of clarity for sure. Um, so I guess my next question was, why do some narcs want to be victimized? Because it really seems like that they really want that. They want to be really praised and looked at as like the best, but then also they want to be seen as like a victim in a way. So could you explain that?
Yeah, of course. So, gosh, I have so many examples, but like, you and I, let's say we're talking, like, and I'll say, the party starts at 5 or whatever. We have a party planned out, right? And we
Right.
agree, okay, we agree, 5 o'clock. And then I'll be like, I'll explode on you. You said, it's 5 o'clock Sunday. I'm like, I never said Sunday. I want that because that it's gaslighting, it's whatever, but I want that because you screwed me over. Look what you did. It was supposed to be Monday. Where are you getting Sunday from? Now you feel stupid. I'm the victim. Look what you did to me. You don't listen. You don't listen
Yeah.
to anything I say. Why don't you just simply listen to me? And you know you should, and you just don't. You can't. I don't understand. Maybe I'm misunderstood. I don't get it. You just don't care to listen. You don't care. That's your problem. You just don't care
Yeah.
enough. You don't care about me. So, and then I'm the victim.
And
You're
what do you get? What do you get from this? Do you feel like good? Do you feel better? Do you feel like what do you get from making yourself be like you don't listen, you don't care? Like what do you get from this?
oh God, I don't know.
Just satisfaction maybe of having control of that situation, or I don't know.
Well,
Because
there's a
it's hard.
lot. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, yeah. And then if I'm the victim, if we break up, I'll be like, she never listened to me. You know, she
Yeah,
failed in every category. I tell her Sunday at 5, and it was Monday at 5. She makes me believe things that are not true. She gaslights me. And I'm doing this all to you the whole time. But
right,
like a new person, if I'm dating, like she just didn't listen to anything. She was crazy. I would tell her,
right,
and she was obsessed with Monday, and we know it's not true. And that's what she did to me. The whole relationship, she just wouldn't listen. Obviously, she was a selfish person. We know that.
right. It sounds it sounds like a way to kind of reassure yourself, like take the blame off of yourself and always kind of reinforce your goodness. Is that true? It kind of sounds like that.
Yeah, especially because we know the relationship is not going to last deep down, so we realize that, and we feel it and know it deep down in our hearts, our black hearts. So we have to
Yeah,
set things up to have validation in the future. This is a big part of it. A lot of people don't get, like, we know it won't last, so we have to set stuff up for the new partner that we're going to torture. So here's all this new information for the new partner. She didn't listen. She
yep,
abused me. She gaslit me. You're the narcissist. You are, not me. She was the crazy
yeah.
one all the time. So she was probably cheating on me too.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is just sounds so familiar that yeah, totally. I get that, that seems to be true for most narcs that I've seen, heard of, and experienced. That they do go off, and then they can have their story of how they genuinely were the victim, and yeah, everything you're saying that makes a lot of sense. That it seems like also the victimizing of themselves really gives them an extra like card for the love bombing phase, right? For someone to want to come in and like love you and be like, well, I can be that love for you or something, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. The next one, and yeah, I'm just gonna say it because this is what most victims believe. Are you a demon, or what is going on? Like, how can the darkness be so dark? What obviously you're not going to tell me if you are, but can you elaborate on this? Like what is the spiritual, like, yeah, are you a demon? Are you friends with demons? What is the deal here?
I know Satan personally. Like I grew up with him. He's not all bad, honestly. He really isn't. But
It
there's
seems like it seems like you guys are all very friends with Satan.
he's not bad. I swear. I swear. He's
Sounds
misunderstood.
like something he would say. Yeah.
Um, I I don't think we're demons as much as we're damaged people. I think we're demolished internally, and there's been brain scans to prove this theory that the brains of people in this cluster are. Oh gosh, you got a cat! Wow, cute. Oh wow. Uh, the brain shows significant shrinkage in gray matter, which is somewhat associated with feelings and empathy and growth, um, mental growth. As a child growing up, they don't develop it, so it's significantly smaller. Um,
Right.
there's a lot to it, but I don't think we're demons. I don't think we're, devils, but I think we're weak, and most narcissists are extremely, extremely hurt internally, and it's a hurt that they can't describe. There's no way to explain the hurt, the pain, the trauma they go through. It's just there, and they live with it. So they have to formulate a way to survive and live in this life as an actor of sorts to survive this life. And it's influenced by demons. I believe that because I think the devil and Satan can definitely influence you, especially when you're weak and traumatized. I believe that.
Yeah.
However, we know with Christ all things are possible. So we know that. But
Amen.
demons influencing the decisions, and I think it is demonic. Yes, it is demonic. I believe that 100%. It's like a computer chip is placed in a narcissist's brain, and they follow specific patterns and programs that destroy and demolish and wipe out anyone in their life. So this program is, where does it come from? Think about it. Like,
Yeah.
how do they know the same things? Brain scans show certain things, yeah. Shrinkage in the gray matter, lack of empathy. It can prove it. It could be proven by science, yeah, but um, how do they prove the demonic aspect? And I believe that because uh, there's no other rational explanation. Even someone with a lack of empathy wouldn't do these things. You're potentially
That
killing your partner. Think about it.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It seems like a lot of the techniques or the traps or the just the actual, events, they are things that I feel like a human brain normally cannot think of. Like how severely you can hurt someone, how to annihilate their being. It seems so like smart in a way, like a way that people normally cannot come up with such perfect ways to just like you're gonna for sure mess this person up, and it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Do you think that maybe just these spirits may just take advantage of the fact that there's that lack of empathy? There's more room for them to have say or something like that. Because yeah, like you said, it's just and a lot of the tactics are very similar, almost like they have similar agendas and similar ways to have it play out in a way.
Even lack of empathy in a psychopath, they don't have it, but they don't do the same things narcissists do. If you think about it,
Yes,
they're
that's what I was gonna say. That there seems to be like a need to annihilate the being of the person. Where, like you said, it's true with antisocial. It's more about like they need to get what they want. It's not so much about destroying the victim, right? It's like, I don't care what happens to the victim, but I just want to do what I need. And it's with narcissists, it seems like what I need is to destroy you. That's kind of what it seems.
And even after the end of the relationship, there's stalking, flying monkeys they have to deal with. There's terminology for these things. I mean, it's an unbelievable assault and need for lack of control and the internal void of a narcissist. They're never going to be happy. They could discard you tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, and you're
Yeah.
nothing to them, and then move
Yeah.
on, get a new partner, and married. They're going to come circle back to you. You know, I'm not happy in my marriage. They just want to ruin you, no matter what it takes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being honest. Because what you say definitely reflects the reality that a lot of us have experienced. So I appreciate your honesty and also you elaborating because it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. Yeah, thank you. And I guess kind of with I guess this kind of ties in a bit with the love bombing in a way, but when you are, interested in someone that you meet, and let's say prior to the love bombing, um, do you know like what your intentions are? Like, are you fully aware, or are you just like, you know, compulsed to just draw them in and you just feel pulled to do it, or are you like, this is the next person, this is the next person, if that makes sense, like, or is it just, or do you feel like it's just a natural organic thing that's just happening, and then soon after the love bombing you're like, all right, this is getting exhausting?
Well, I'm a covert narcissist, right? So
Okay, yeah.
the difference between it's a little bit different. Like the covert narcissist is the weaker version of the bombastic or overt narcissist. Like certain people I don't want to name, but um, there's like P Diddy, for example. Like
Right.
everyone knows him, and he puts on acts. There's communal narcissist. Being covert is maybe the weakened version of the spectrum of it. So as far as that goes, like from my experience, and I can best speak on that, they have a sense of what you are even before you realize it. Like with us, like there's well, they can sense vulnerability. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Like
you can sniff it out, huh?
how, yeah, yeah.
So
So
I guess, oh, go ahead.
it it's like obsession, like from our side. But the problem is we have like an uncanny sense of, is this person vulnerable? Will they fall for it? Are they going to be weak enough to fall for this? And all of these questions get filtered through our brain. And if we discover that you are, then you're the next victim. That's kind of how it works. Our
Okay.
brain goes through all the information that you give us, even as friends, no matter what we are, where we are in our relationship. All this information gets cycled through this thing in our brain, whatever it's called, the demonic influence, and we have to filter through it, and then we discover, okay, this can be a victim. She's vulnerable,
Yes.
she's weak, yada yada. It's like a way to pull you into the nightmare.
Yeah. So like, for example, I know a little bit about your story with your ex-wives and stuff. I know you got married pretty quickly after one of your divorces. I
Yeah,
guess, were you like, when you met your next partner and you're processing this information stuff, were you aware like, my intentions are this is going to be my next partner, or just like, I like this person, I'm getting supply for now, we'll see where this goes? Or are you usually pretty like, I know this is going to be like, I'm going to pursue this person for a relationship? Like, do you know that Like, this is the one I'm pursuing for a relationship? Or are you just like, I'm going to pursue them because they give me supply, and it can go towards friendship that I'm going to abuse, or, you know, acquaintance I'm going to abuse, or do you know that you're like the role that this person is going to play in your life?
Well, there's different categories we could chuck you in. Like, can we borrow money from you? Can we use you for money? Can you give us
Okay, yeah.
can you give us attention? Are you beautiful enough? Are you this? Are you that? What can you give us? So it's different categories depending on the supply need and what we want. Can we
Got
get
it.
this out of you? Can we get that? Can we do this to her? Can we get this out of her? So did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense, and it answers one of my other questions that was like, what type of women do you go for relationships? Um, and is it because you extract a certain amount of what type of supply do they give you? But I think that basically answers it. The type of women you go for are women that you can sense have those vulnerabilities, basically, right?
um, it it's like a light. Like you're a light. Like you are a beautiful light, and it's like can we snuff it out a little bit? And we know that part of the reason for doing that is we're not that way. We're not a beautiful light. So we know deep down we're not. So we see something beautiful, we see a light. We're going to try to dim the light, I guess you could say. Uh,
Yeah.
we see something, you know, a beautiful soul, a beautiful giving person, a bright person. Can we dim the light, deflate the ego, you know, like that? So
Yeah.
it depends on the personality is a big part of it. Um, the looks and the beautiful aspect of it, yeah, that helps a lot because I don't know if you've ever seen before and after pictures. uh, Victims with in these relationships, they start off the relationship and they'll be so like happy and beautiful, and then
Oh
like
yeah.
later they're like 400 pounds and so
Yeah, I mean, for myself, it's like I like to do my makeup, or like to just look good, or like dress myself up. And I remember my ex-husband was like, "No, you need to stop wearing makeup." I ended up being in like sweats. Like, you just completely look like a hobo by the end, because
yeah.
it's like it's like, why do you want me to look like this? But I do. I guess that's just the snuffing out of the light in a way, right?
And then you won't move on. That's another big part of it. If you're extremely beautiful, we could bring you down, and you're not going to move on when you feel and look like like
Yeah,
worse than before, I guess. You know,
yeah.
and
And
when
I
people,
have a question about the light that you said. Like, do you ever think at one point, like, you want, like you said, you're not that, and you see that, and you kind of want to like dim it? Do you ever want to think that when you're dimming it that you will consume it, or it's just, no, it's just like, I'm not that and I want to dim her too? Do you ever think like, I will be this way if I consume them, or no, that's just not a thing with narcs?
I will be the what way? What do you mean?
Like, you will take that beauty, that light, whatever it is that you saw in them. Do you think like, I can become this, like I will take that from them? Or is it just like, no, I just want to shut them down too, and lower them down and be dark, like kind of how I am?
No, I don't think we know that we can become a bright light like you or a beautiful light like that. I don't think we know that. I think
Yeah.
it's a matter of our insecurities. We have to bring you down so much because if you move
Yeah.
on, that's not good. And
Yeah.
us treating you bad, you have to be okay with that. So if we
That
bring you
makes
down,
sense.
destroy your confidence, destroy your ego, the likelihood of you moving out or moving on or whatever is very slim.
For sure. Um, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I was gonna ask also, um, is it true? Well, I think I know it's true that you don't feel bad when you're hurting other people because you feel justified, right? And so I'm kind of wondering, could you give an example of why you feel justified, how you make that, how you dissolve yourself from feeling any type of bad when you can see you're clearly hurting someone? How does that justification work out? If you could give any type of examples of how that has been for you in the past.
Um, we don't we don't really feel bad in the moment. Um, and then, obviously after you leave, we feel bad like mostly if we lose control and when you stop reacting or when we have to face ourselves, and then we'll feel some guilt, not always for the right reasons. We do feel regret if things end. We feel pain, but like if we look like the victim, I guess. For me personally, like, let me think. Like I didn't feel bad in the moment, I guess. Like,
Like if you're making, this is just a hypothetical, if you were to make your partner, you did something really hurtful and they're crying, right? But you don't feel bad at all. Is it because you feel like, what justifies that? Like, how is it because you feel like so superior, like that's irrelevant to you, or because you feel like you're actually the victim, or is it neither of that? Um, how do you, like, usually if someone sees someone crying because of something they said or did, they're going to feel like bad. Oh, that was bad. I can see why. But it seems like narcs are just very like, yeah, well, who cares? Like that's that. It's justified because,
yeah, it is justified. Like,
yeah, why? Like in your
well,
mind, what justifies it? Is it because you feel like you're always the victim, or because you feel you're so superior that it's
both.
just justified, or is it neither of that?
It's both of that. Like,
It's both, okay.
the stupid thing happened, like with us. Like, um, well, I'll speak on my last last relationship. Like, she did something like I think she threw ice cream out, right? So like it started like a little argument, and I know that at a certain hour she gets really tired and she's trying to fall asleep. She gets crabby. I'm like, well, here's a perfect time. I'm gonna bring this up now, and I wasn't expecting her to overreact, but she wasn't really, and I kind of like did it on purpose, I guess, at the time. You got to remember, this was like 2.5 years ago, right around, yeah, over 2 years ago. And I was like, well, she shouldn't have did this. She has to, hear about it. And I just like she was arguing with me, and I was arguing back. And then there was parts of me like I would feel guilty. I'm like, maybe I'm overreacting. Why am I doing this shit? I already, you know, went through like a nightmare being alone, and I lost my job, I lost my house, and now I'm starting to realize I'm a narcissist. And I even explained to her what I was indirectly one day, and then she started calling me that in the text messaging. And I'm like, oh well, you just I just pushed her away, and I ended up to be like the victim because at the end of the day, like she did something to me, she never apologized. Right, that was the first part of it. She kept calling me a narcissist. That was the second part of it, and she should have responded right away. That was the third part. So it was her being inconsiderate, rude, and selfish. So I was able to turn something incredibly stupid around to where I'm the victim, and my feelings on it was justified. By the end of the day, I was like totally fine with it. I'm like, perfect. She did that to me. This justifies it. It
I
sparked
understand.
a relationship because I ignored her for 3 days. But that was the beginning of it. And it was over something so stupid. Obviously, we know that now. And then at the time, I went to bed each night ignoring her. And I'm like, well, she should have responded. She could
Yeah.
have talked to me. She didn't have to call me that name. Overlooking the entire thing. Why am I mad at her? Like the whole thing is like it makes no sense, but at the
Yeah.
time it made sense, you know. But I'll just add that this was right after I had several narcissistic injuries in my awakening. It was immediately after that, and I met her, and it just didn't work out. You know, it didn't work out. But I
Yeah.
rushed into a relationship I shouldn't have. You know that. You know.
Yeah, but I understand that, like, as an narc, you need to get that supply from somewhere, right? It's, like, extremely painful to just be down in the trenches like that. And you mentioned narcissistic supply. That was one of my questions I had, or injury. Does that look the same for all narcs, or do you think that's slightly different depending what type of narc you are, or is it usually the same type of thing that causes an injury, and what types of things cause you injuries? So I know, no, so I can dish it out. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks. No thanks. uh, it depends. Like if you're, uh, gosh, if you're a covert narcissist, man, it could be almost anything: criticism, rejection, being
Yeah,
ignored, laughed at, anything like that. So like, let's say let's say I get fired, right? I could take that and just get depressed for like 3 months or whatever, and like, oh God, and feel depressed. But I could also turn it around and be like, well, it was the company's fault. They should have had proper training. They should have did this. I'm the victim. So
yeah,
I'll feel bad about losing my job, but it's not my fault, you know.
yeah,
And I think that's true with most narcissists that I know of, even the grandiose narcissists. Um, like they just have such this big ego. Some like the grandiose ones, like if they get fired or ousted from a political position, they'll just blame America or blame everyone else. It's never ever their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. America just doesn't understand a great leader like that, and they'll just
yeah,
move on, and they'll have their riches and they'll be fine. Covert narc, it's the same exact pattern. Like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. It was a stupid company. It was their policies. They shouldn't have changed them. It's not my fault. I'll just get another job. Obviously, they're idiots. But the difference with my collapse, like 2.5 years ago, was it wasn't just one thing. It was loss of my wife, loss of my job. My son didn't really want to come over as much. My daughter wasn't talking to me as much. It was like a bunch of losses in a row like that. And I'd finally be like, well, okay, first my job is stupid. And, my daughter doesn't do this right. My son, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I have a problem.
yeah.
And had gone back in text message my daughter had sent me years ago, 2021, I think it was. And she was like, hey, do you ever think you might be a narcissist? I'm just asking because I know some people have this. It's not your fault. And I'm like, no, what the hell are you talking about? And I went back and I'm like, wait a minute. She had mentioned this. And I saw
Yeah.
it in text. I'm like,
Wow.
she sent me a conference on NPD. I'm like, huh. I'm like, well, obviously she's too young. She doesn't know. So I went to my therapist, and my therapist was like, well, after a few months or whatever, she's like, well, you have narcissistic personality. I'm like, well, she's a new therapist. What the hell does she know? Then I'm like,
Right.
okay, all right, God dang it.
Yeah.
Finally, it took all of that. And then I was like, okay, I'm a narcissist. And yet,
Like literally everything, everyone had to be basically fell apart and pointing the finger at you, where you had to be like, well, maybe I should look at myself for once.
there was no
But
excuse. And I have a video on my channel about how you could collapse, accelerate a narcissistic collapse and maybe spark an awakening. And it's all like an intervention style, but it's extremely dangerous. I don't know if it would work for every narcissist.
right.
I know that style sort of worked with me because I had my daughter saying I was a narcissist, my therapist. Oh, I didn't even mention my best friend said, well, maybe there might be something to it. I could tell she was afraid to say it, you know.
Yeah.
Wait, you're in on it too? Then I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, maybe it's me. Oh my gosh. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to ask you about a collapse, actually. I was going to ask um, if you thought a full collapse like this is necessary for a narcissist to ever kind of wake up to the reality of their problems. Um, like, because it sounds like for you, if possibly a few of these things hadn't, like if maybe you still had your job, or do you think everything had to collapse for you to happen, or do you think that has to happen for all narcs, or do you think just a couple things, or do you think it's probably just a full-on collapse is what's necessary?
there's only two ways a narcissist has any hope of change. There's only two ways through Jesus Christ. You have to find God. You have to. There's no alternative. And what did Jesus always say? Love each other. And that's
Right.
the simplest thing in the world. And being a narcissist, you don't love each other. You simply don't. You can't. Not, they cannot exist together. You cannot abide by God's word, love each other. You can't and be a narcissist. It doesn't coexist. So you have to find Christ. You have to be saved. You have to reconnect with your faith. And if you don't, you're not going to accomplish anything. I don't know very many people, if any, in the world that found Jesus and got depressed and their life got worse. It doesn't.
Right.
It's not happening. When
It's
you
true.
find God and you connect with Christ, you're you're changed. You're happy. You're better. You can accomplish anything. But you have to put work. So for a narcissist, that's one way. A collapse has to be a total collapse. It
Yeah.
has to be a
Okay.
multitude of things. You can't just lose a job and have a narcissist. Oh, well, maybe I'm a narcissist. It's not going to happen. It's going to be all these things that happen at once, and that's what happened to me. So they have to find Christ, and they have to go to therapy. Therapy
That
is a
makes
huge tool. If you don't go to therapy, you're not going to be able to reflect on the evil actions. So it's a combination. You have to. My collapse happened in a matter of like, God, I want to say maybe like 2 months time.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
Everything
That
had
was
fallen apart, and I actually really loved my wife. I know it sounds bizarre, but I was so depressed. I really, I really missed her. So
yeah.
I
That
was looking at.
that makes sense. And what you're saying about finding Christ, out of all the narc pages that I do follow, you stand out so much because that's one of the differences I see. There's a lot of self-aware narcissist pages, and they're helpful, but it seems like they almost get narc supply out of just telling you how they think, what they think, but not much of like, and I'm trying to change it, right? And I'm changing this, and this is growing. And I see that in you, that you, with Christ, there is actual desire to change, not just be like, yeah, I'm self-aware. This is why I'm bad, and this is like cool me, right? So I see that, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's great. I think that's a, but I actually have a question, since I do come from a Christian cult, a narcissistic Christian cult. What would you say about that? Is there any hope? Because these are very abusive men that claim to know Christ, right, and are leading masses to be hateful. Actually, they kind of turn, kind of how you said about your job or something. You'll just blame the job, right? Well, they just were dumb. That was just stupid. They just don't know what they're talking about, whatever, right? So I kind of see this in Christian narcissist. I say Christian because, like you said, that like you should have that love in you that Jesus asks us to have, and they don't. It's kind of, they turn it as hate the world because the world hates Jesus, and we're called to hate God's enemies. And you know, it's kind of like a mass narcissism that plagues the community of turning you against the world and convincing you that the world is all to blame for everything. What do you say about that? Because it's like, what hope do these people have when they already know scripture like so well? You know, they have everything memorized, yet they kind of actually refuse to actually understand it. And like, what do you say about this? What do you think about this? Because you are Christian and you do have narcissistic personality disorder. What do you say about this? Like, what do you think? Is there any hope for these people? Because they're already like, I know Jesus, but they're like weaponizing Jesus in a way to justify their evil they're dishing out to people, basically.
Yeah, I think it's demonically influenced again. These cult leaders are disgusting and sick and manipulative. Some of them, obviously, as you know, pretty obvious, are extreme narcissists. And what would I say?
Like, do you think there's any hope since they already like? Can you get to know Jesus when you're already like abusing the fact that you know Jesus? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, there's hope for anyone, I think. Yeah, at the end of the day, God could change anyone's heart if you truly believe and follow His word. Yes, okay, but
Yeah,
someone like that, they take advantage of people that are weak and they destroy their confidence en masse, like multiple people. Like, it's not just me abusing my partner, now it's an entire church they're abusing, uh,
right.
degrading their confidence. And I believe that the truth was always going to get revealed one way or another. And one way or another, they will have to answer to God. They will have to. The light will always defeat evil, always. And I think um, maybe cult or not, but I think it's demonic, and I think they're narcissists, and I think it's obvious.
Yeah,
And the only difference I think is that they're doing it to multiple people at once, whereas at least for me, I only abused one person at a time. I mean,
yeah,
like multiple people and children, and these are people that become victims. But I think by spreading your messages and getting this truth out there, there's a lot of false prophets out there, even on YouTube. Like, I don't want to name names. Like, I did an interview on my channel with Narc Survivor. I mean, it's out of respect. I won't say his name, but
yeah,
he's very similar to that, but he doesn't have the abuse uh, intention for people. He masks it very well as, look, I'm helping, I'm spreading knowledge, like that, But whatever. But like, I mean, you can't fear these people. You have to fear God, I think, and
yeah.
I think exposure is very important. And eventually, I believe the truth will come out. I believe so.
Yes. Like scripture says, like, seek me with all your heart and you will find me, right? I think it's important for people to be seeking God and not just I think a lot of times people want to like feel good about themselves, like I'm righteous, I'm this. More focus on that than on like actually having their relationship with Jesus. So,
Well, now,
yeah.
real quick, I do want to mention that I don't know in the Bible, maybe I'm wrong. I have never seen it though. Does the Bible tell you actually have to go to church to worship Him? Think about it.
No.
So they're building these massive churches, and some people accuse Joel Osteen of this. I don't believe it. I like him, but I'm just saying that's what the accusations are. I love him, but I'm just saying, like, they build these mega churches for worship, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in the Bible, nowhere in there does it say you have to build a church and go to church and get money from people.
No, for sure. And from my understanding, the church is like the body of Christ, you know. There were the seven churches in the different parts of the world, and that's how I interpret it, not like physical buildings all over.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. That there's been a bit of I don't know, definitely taken it a different way than I feel like maybe it was meant for us to understand it. Like, we are the church, the body of
Right.
Christ believers. We don't need a building to have a relationship with God, or even to read our Bible. I feel like a lot of times people will just read the Bible when they hear what the pastor has to say about the verse, but we're all given our the Holy Spirit, to be able to have our time, read scripture. It's kind of like back in the day where they no one had Bibles, only the priests and stuff, and you had to go to mass or whatever to learn, right? But we don't need to do that. We can have our relationship with Christ, all of us. Again,
Yeah,
not saying that it's bad to attend church or all that stuff, but yeah, totally.
people don't understand that. It's such a misconception with religion.
Yeah.
You know, and right that even that exposure right there would probably help these people that are, you know, tied to these cults, these false prophets, and these supposed leaders. You know, I think I think it's a good reminder, and exposure is so important. I think, you know.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of times the people don't want to question their leaders because they're convinced that they're like appointed by God himself to be their leader, when
Yeah.
that's not what's in scripture. And actually, contrary to that, scripture tells us to be Bereans and go and check scripture to see if what they're saying is correct. And that's like, you'll get kicked out of your cult if you question what you're saying, what the pastor's saying, or any of these things. So yeah, we definitely need to get into scripture more, for sure. Thank you for your side on that, and your thoughts on that. That's just, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
One more real quick thing I want to point out. I don't want to say the name of the church, but it's one that Tom Cruise is in, and
Oh yeah.
I don't want to say the name of Scientology. I mean, I don't want to say, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
they they have this whole thing, and it's complete madness. So if you do something that offends them, they'll come after you. Like,
Yeah, like literally.
no, yeah, stalking, harassing, hacking, all kinds of stuff. I am fully aware of that, and I know everything about it. But I'm just saying, like, how is that even close to anything with God or Jesus? Like, that whole
Yeah.
thing is off the rails, like, completely. So I just wanted to say that.
No, yeah, 100%. Totally. It's every part of it has nothing to do with with anything with God, for sure. It's like just a systematic way to control, to dish out, like justify the narcissistic abuse. Totally.
Yeah.
Um yeah, hold on a sec. And I know that your upbringing was horrendous, like most narcissists. And I want to have your side or your opinions on, because I know you also, went to church as a child, and a lot of people think that just going to church and being very physically abusive with their kids will have no result other than them being a good Christian. There's like that lack of love from Jesus, right? There's so many people that are convinced that if they just go to church and they beat their kids into submission, the child will grow up to be a great person. What do you think about that? Because that's a very common belief, at least from the type of cult that I came from. And a lot of very, very, very conservative Christians believe that, kids should have no voice, no opinion. Anytime they disagree with you, just go ahead and take your rod out and basically smack them into correction. What do you think about this? What's the actual outcome of this? What's your opinion on this, basically? Because I think you have a very personal experience with this in your life.
With what? Oh, being abused? Yeah. Yeah, you're
Being
right.
abused, but also like going to church as a child, right? I think a lot of times parents think just because, well, they're taking their kid to church and they're, what do they say? Spare the rod, spoil the child. So they just become incredibly abusive to their child, thinking that this is going to produce a great human being.
Yeah, like when you're a child, you get taken advantage of because you don't know any better, and you have to go along with what they want, what your parents want. So it's not like I planned it out to go to church every Sunday or anything. My mom sent me, and that was the end of it, and I had to suffer through it for I think it was 3-4 hours or whatever, and that was it. And a lot of parents, a lot of people use God and religion, and they use that in order to abuse the children and spare the rod. All that is real. They abuse children with using church and God, and they pick out various quotes in the Bible that make no sense, and then they
Yeah.
get caught up in it and they can't stop. And what's happened with me is it's generational trauma is what I'm trying to prevent. And with generational trauma, that would be basically my mom abused me, she forced me in the church. Now, I would do the same for my son, and he would do the same for his children. And when does it end? When does this stuff end? So for the victims, yeah, you're a victim, but now when you get older and
Yeah.
children of your own, you victimize them, so it's like a generational thing of abuse. That's what I wanted to stop, and that's why I wanted to live, and have God in my heart. I know you can't go wrong with that. And
Yeah.
like I had to start all over, learn a new language, and learn a new way to treat my son, learn a new way to communicate better. All these things, all learned. But at the end of the day, it's easy to just simply be kind and understanding. That's it. It's not that complicated. You don't need a $400 coaching parent course or anything. You don't
Yeah.
need fake gurus on YouTube that are gonna charge you $400 to learn how to heal or be a better parent or whatever. You have to get close with Christ. Therapy helps, yes. And I'm not carrying this generational trauma. It's just not going to happen. This is the end of it. And I
Yeah.
don't care what it costs or what it takes. That's my decision. That's what I've done. And I've lived this way now for a couple of years now. Well, like it's a tough thing though. It's not easy because my mother, for example, like if anything didn't go her way, she would. I'm not talking about yell. I'm talking about explode. Like, like anything wrong, anything gets in her way, and then she'd be mad for several days. I didn't want to do it anymore. I'm not doing that to my
Yeah.
kids. It's just not going to happen. So now
Yeah.
I don't even have punishments for my son. I really don't. Like, if he does something and he messes it up, I'm like, oh my gosh, you silly goose or whatever. I make it out to be a joke. I'm like, I'll give you $10 to clean my kitchen or whatever it is. It comes from kindness and love and God and therapy. And what would you want done to you as a child?
Yes.
What do you want your mom or dad to say to you? That's how I think. So, like, what did he do the other day? He did something. He had a pan of like beef and he spilled it like all over the kitchen floor and then dropped like in succession, like right off the bat, dropped a jar of peanut butter and it was glass. It was all over. I'm like, how did you get beef all over the floor covered in glass? You can't even eat the beef. He's trying to sweep it up. I'm like, dude, this is a legendary mistake, man. And what are you talking about? You shouldn't. And he was trying to turn it around. Like he thought I was like being mean. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
you're going to step on glass. He's like, I already did. I'm like, all right, go fix that. I'll fix the mess. So I tried to separate it and diffuse it. Like, I made it out to be a joke, but he didn't get it right off the bat. Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of like a silly thing, but he was like, well, who keeps the jar of peanut butter at the edge of the counter like that? It's kind of like he was trying to like be defensive. I'm like, dude, let's worry
Yeah.
about you got glass, you're bleeding. Let's fix that first. I
Yeah.
don't man to do two things like that. but I didn't even ask. I'm like, it's a freaking mistake, dude. Shit, people make mistakes, man. People make mistakes. Especially
Yeah.
and he's almost 13 now, and he's man, I'm way off subject. What the hell were we talking about? I'm sorry.
No, no, not at all. I was asking about,
Yeah,
disciplining your children and like
I don't.
at what point that is actually just harmful, like the abuse. Kids are not meant to be abused, like so it's like you abusing your child isn't going to raise them to be some perfect person. Most likely they're going to have some personality disorder, some very severe trauma. It's not that's not the way to correct, right? Jesus has grace for us, so we should probably also have grace for our children.
Yeah, Matthew verse 18:6. Like for those pedophile preachers, it says it right in the Bible too. Like they don't even acknowledge that verse. If anyone causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large rock or millstone hung
Yeah.
around and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. And like they don't realize the harm they're causing children. They're not obviously focused on what did Jesus actually say.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
they have ways of abusing children, but they're justifying it for themselves. They're not living in Christ.
Exactly. And it's like a child, this is I'm not saying for you, but for a lot of kids, right? If this is what they think Christianity is, when they grow up, they don't want to have anything to do with this, right? And that's just that's the horrible thing. What these parents are doing to kids to be representing Christianity as kind of just abuse, which is what a lot of kids are getting from it.
Right.
Yeah. Um, I was going to also ask, if you don't mind, since becoming self-aware and you have Christ in you, how has that changed the way you see people, not just your family or people but just people out there, cashiers, waiters, random people? Has that changed at all how you see them? Have they become more, I don't know, has that had any change in you? Have you noticed any difference from before you were self-aware to after you've become self-aware? Do you see people differently at all?
Yeah, definitely. One example, this was, gosh, I don't know, right before everything happened with my collapse and all that. I was at a hotel, and it was like a birthday thing for my son. We were staying there, and it was something with the pool. I don't know, something happened with the pool, and I was complaining to the manager. And I'm like, I'm gonna get your job. You're gonna regret this. Like I was so mean, but they had already fixed it. The whole problem was gone, but I just couldn't shut up. I'm like, and my lady was there. She's like, can you stop? She's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, no, she needs to lose her job. And she's like, you're not gonna lose her. I'm like, no, she needs it.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you realize how you sound right now? And I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, lose her job. And I'm like, all right. So I ended up not doing anything. I was gonna call the next day and talk to her big boss and
Oh, wow. Wow.
so I thought about it overnight, and I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything. I, I don't have to be happy about it, but I didn't do anything. So I see people different because I think people are just looking to be happy. That's all it is, no matter what religion you are, what race you are. At the end of the day, we're all just trying our best to live here. And that's just the way I look at it now. Like,
Do you maybe take it a bit less personal, like directly personal, whatever is going on?
yeah, like I was in a restaurant like not too long ago with my son, and he found $10 on the floor, and he picks it up. He's gonna pocket it, and the waitress comes by. She goes, "How do you know that wasn't my tip?" And snatched it out of his hands and ran away. I'm like, that fucking oh. And so I'm like, well, how do you know it was your tip? You know,
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
rude about it. And like I like went right to her instead of going to the manager. I'm like, can we have that money back? You don't know where it came from. And then and I felt bad like immediately. I'm like, oh man, you know, she's just I don't know whose money that is. It wasn't my son's, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had to pause, and I'm like, you know, just forget it, you know. And she's like, well, I don't know. I just saw some kid, and I'm like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. I just kind of let it go, and then we ended up like laughing about it. So I don't know what she said something, and I was like, yeah, I know it's funny, like kids, kids and money, something like that.
Yeah.
And then it was fine after that. I'm like, you know, she's just struggling to live, you know,
Yeah.
$10. What is it really? I
I
don't know.
think that's huge of you. I think that's, I mean, because it does sound like she was pretty rude to do that. Like, anyone would think that's a bit rude of her. But that's, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a really mature and correct way to go about it. So
Well, I just have to
that's
pause and analyze myself, like before I do anything now. Like if I order a pizza and it doesn't come, like, oh, you went the front way, you should have went the back way, you know. I'm like, oh, oh my God, am I becoming a monster again? Oh no. So I have to reel myself in, you know, and be like,
yeah.
could you come the back way? That's it, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds like you have a lot more of like control of yourself. Maybe like you have more control of yourself than whatever spirits used to influence you more in the past. It sounds like. So that's a huge change.
But like my first impulse is, you know, they're attacking me, you know, I gotta get them back. I'm gonna get their job. So I always have to stop myself, like, so, you know, like
Yeah.
I think twice, like, wait a minute, you know, and it was like some little girl that was like, gosh, I don't even think she was 17 delivering the pizza. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I know, you know, you can't tell front from back. Don't worry. You know, I don't know. I just felt bad. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, when
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna get you fired now. I'm starving, you know. I need my pizza, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like good for everyone out in the world, but I feel like also for
Yeah,
yourself to not feel as like you're not hated. You're not hated and rejected by everyone. Like that's something in you that's processing it that way, and that's gonna cause a lot of internal pain. But being able to have that pause, I hope that's as great for you as it is for everyone else that's not getting that's not getting like the verbal attack from you. You also, it's like hopefully you can see that like you're not hated. Maybe you feel that way because you didn't get, maybe you were treated like you were hated a lot as a child, you know, but you actually are not hated by just everyone in the world. It's not personal, things like that. That's
right.
probably also helpful for yourself, beneficial for yourself, not just everyone else.
Yeah, you see these people in McDonald's brawling over like fries and stuff. You know, it's like, yeah, it's
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah, like the videos of people like jumping over the counter, just like, give me my food.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah, totally. Um, I only have a couple of more questions, and if you're okay with that, one of them was, um, I don't know if it's possible, but how do you know when a narcissist actually is genuine when they apologize? Or would you say that's not ever a genuine apology unless they're self-aware?
It's not possible. It's not possible. They
It's
only
not
apologize
possible.
to later abuse you because you accepted the apology. No, it's not. Not a real narcissist. No, absolutely not.
Okay. So don't buy
They'll
it.
just say
It's
whatever.
not real.
They're,
They don't feel bad for what they
exactly.
did. It's reeling you back in
Exactly.
basically.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Okay.
just to hold off your anger just a little bit while they go back to abusing you. And then eventually you're gonna be
Yeah.
like, you didn't owe me an apology at all, actually. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, they only if they do apologize, it's not real. Totally, they don't mean it. They don't care. People don't
That's
understand.
what it seems like, because it's like they'll apologize and then like a week or two later you find them doing the same thing, right? Or something even more hurtful, or literally the exact same thing. Um and you're just like, well, what the heck? And I think it ties back to what you said, the 4-letter words, right? You have hope when they apologize that it's like it's real and you're going to get back to that beginning stages, right? Like, oh, it's changing. They see we can move forward now.
Yeah, it's a joke.
The
Uh,
hope. Um, and I have like 2 more questions. One of them is about narcissistic supply. Since you are Christian and you are self-aware now, I'm going to say you probably do, because you're a narcissist. I was going to say, do you still need narcissistic supply? But has that changed in a way, like the type you need? Or are you still needing that kind of same type of narc supply that you needed before from people?
yeah, I need it still. That's true.
Yeah.
It's not to the degree like it used to be though. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need her. Like I don't have a girlfriend, but this girl I'm sort of, kind of, maybe starting something with, sort of. It's completely opposite. It's not the same. Like if she doesn't respond, you know, I don't think the worst. I don't need her on the phone 24/7 praising me. You got,
Yes.
nice muscles. God, your abs are looking better. I don't need that. Like, I don't care anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't understand it, but the need is still there, but not as
Yeah.
bad, not nearly as bad. And another part of it is the supply can come from other things too, though. So the supply can come from like bodybuilding. The supply can come from working out, hiking, walking, cardio. The supply can come from movies. The supply can come from um, having a YouTube channel and talking about it, editing the videos. Sometimes they take hours, sometimes they don't. And it's work, and it's something that keeps me busy. I have a full time job on top of that. So, like, I'm always doing something, I'm always busy, and
Yeah.
that's how I get supply. And I look at it like how Lee Hammock is from Mental Illness, one of the biggest content creators on YouTube. And you could see some of his live streams before. I haven't seen one in a while, but some of them, you could see him just bulldozing the host, and he's getting supply, and the host is just kind of like there. And then other times, he's trying to pull himself in. And he's such a good guy. I think it comes off. I think he's genuine. I love his channel. I love him. But the thing is, like, that's a form of supply. And I asked him about it. He said, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. Look back before you started your channel. What were you doing? It's a form of supply because now he's getting attention. He's met politicians. He's very wealthy now. So it works. But is that a
Yeah.
bad? That's not a bad thing. He's still
Yeah.
getting, but he's helping probably now thousands of people. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yes.
And same with Sam Backman, same thing. You know, there's supply there from all the people that he interviews, all his guests, all the videos.
All the
And,
comments. Yeah.
huh?
All the comments he gets.
Right. It's so you could shift the supply. I think. I
Yes.
think we have so much energy and we have such a desire to stand out and be unique, and we need it, I think. But are we getting supply from abusing family members, loved ones anymore? Or are you getting it now from having a channel, working out, editing your videos, helping people on YouTube? And I think for Lee, at least, yeah, and me too, like, he's helping a lot of people. and he responds to almost every comment. I don't sometimes do that, but he does. And people do say, Lee, you changed my life, things like that. So he gets adoration and supply. So
Yeah.
we need it, but is it
Yeah.
supply? So I think this is
I think this is beautiful. I think, yeah, I mean, there's like, one, I want to say you guys are unique. People that have a different lens are unique. And I think being able to transfer the getting the supply from harming others to helping others, like what? It's like you broke the game, like you did it. Like that's a great thing. I agree. Like you have helped me so much. These narc pages have helped me so much. I'm not getting hurt by them. I'm not getting traumatized by them. I'm not fading away into oblivion. This is genuinely helping so many people while you guys can still be getting your supply. I think this is great. You give a lot of hope in a good way, not in the like trapping you in a relationship way. A lot
yeah.
of hope for people, right? A lot of with the knowledge you can free yourself from a lot of stuff, and I think that's great. I think maybe also like it went a bit from needing to suck the supply from someone's like life source, it seems, to actually like you can get it independently, like you said, with hiking or bodybuilding or making your videos. No one is directly, you're not directly taking from someone and consuming. You're basically creating your own supply in a way, and it's not harming other people. I think this is great. I think that's a great thing. And so it's like, yeah, you still need supply, but that doesn't mean you're being harmful still. You're being abusive still. You can still be getting your supply and and growing and healing. So that's, thank you for sharing that. That's so true. That's great. Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Um,
Can I ask you something?
yeah, go ahead.
Like knowing all this stuff about narcissists and the abuse and the relationships you've had and knowing everything so far up to now, if you look back and look inward and somebody were to ask you if you're a narcissist, what would you think? Like how would you answer that for yourself? Like there has to be times where you doubted what you are, like what who you are, and are you the narcissist? Like
Yeah,
what
for
do you?
sure.
I'm curious.
Yeah, definitely when I've been like going crazy, basically, not, I guess you could say I don't even feel human because the stuff is so insane that's happening, and I'm just like, well, maybe I've literally thought, well, maybe I'm the demon. Maybe I do deserve to be in hell. Maybe all this stuff. I think one thing I've never been able to relate to, and when I learned about narcissists, is that I never don't feel horrible. Like I don't want to hurt other people. I very much like, it's like if I see someone hurting or crying, I can feel that and I want to help them. I want to fix it. If I know it was because of me, I want to punish myself over that because it's like I don't want to be hurting other people. But in times when I'm like reacting to a lot of the abuse and I'm needing it to be like resolved, but it won't be. I'm wondering like, well, maybe I'm the problem, right? But it's like every time, as soon as I'm able to separate from the relationship, I'm able to go back to the person I was before the relationship. I'm able to, and also all of my reactions that I do have never go seep into other people, into other places, into other aspects. It's always just directly with the person that I'm with, if that makes sense. And it's like once that can go away, the whole I don't know what it's called. It's like you're just your mind is not there. It's like my mind can return again and I can see it for what it is. Another thing is learning about the narcissism and stuff has actually, I've actually been able to not feel angry anymore. I had a lot of bitterness for, like, you know, a lot of times victims have a lot of bitterness for the injustices that are happening. They feel like the narc just gets away with everything a lot of the time. But being able to learn and be like, well, narcissists are harming you because they're internally so hurt, right? This has, like, having empathy, learning, I could not have empathy if I didn't learn, if I didn't understand why this is happening. Being able to understand why this is happening, I can start to have empathy. And having empathy, it's really hard to have empathy and anger at the same time. It just doesn't go. It's like one dissolves the other. And I guess that's what has helped a lot. It seems like a lot of times narcs, after the relationship ends, they will just continue to villainize the victim forever. Like, they were just bad, they were the problem, they were the that, and they it's like almost they can't ever understand why the victim was you know, confronting them constantly, wanting them to change, telling them that they're doing this that's hurting them. It's like always the victim's fault. And I think, yeah, I think that's just helped a lot to be able to understand why the narcissist acts like this. How can you not have empathy, basically, is what I'm saying. How can you not have empathy when you understand the person is just hurting inside? I can get that. I can understand if you feel inside, is going to come out, right? I can understand that a bit more. So I've definitely, when I've been in the relationships, have gotten to the point where, like, I'm like, well, maybe it is me, right? Because they do a very good job at convincing you that, you know, you're to blame for everything. So I've definitely gotten there, but then every time it's like being able to separate, all of that goes away. My mind comes back and I'm able to see what is happening and process. But until like actually learning why they act out, all of this trauma, right? All of these things are trauma defenses, coping mechanism. This has, like, really, and obviously prayer, because I originally started praying, asking God to remove the bitterness from my heart, right? To remove, because it's almost like, as a victim, you also become fixated on the injustices. You become fixated, and that is not helpful to you. That actually just fills you with the bitterness the narc was filling you with constantly, right? It's like you stay with that. So I was praying for that, and slowly I started, like, finding more channels and more information, and I think that was God, like, providing the things, the people, the websites, whatever, to for me to learn and diffuse that bitterness that I was asking. So I think that's knowledge, I guess, has helped a lot. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, it does. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And, you know, when you find Jesus, all the pieces seem to come together, you know, so you'll find what is needed. And until or unless you learn your lessons, obviously, like in my case, he'll keep teaching you lessons.
Yeah.
Though narcissists can convince the person they're abusing that they're a narcissist. That's why I asked you. And
Yeah, I learned about Darvo just, like, after, like, month way after leaving, about how they use these steps to kind of ultimately convince you, like, make you the offender and convince you that you're the problem, right? And this is a very real thing that's going on in the relationship. If you don't know about it, if you don't understand what's happening, you can really easily be convinced, because it's like, well, I am acting horribly. Like, I think the victims, I don't know, maybe because I think, like, narcissists don't believe they're acting horribly, right? You believe you're justified, but when the victim acts out, right, it's like, or like for myself, like self-harm or something, things like this, it's like, well, this is wrong. This is not correct. You feel like genuine guilt, remorse. And yeah, I think that's a big thing, right? Narcissists are not going to feel like what they're doing is bad. It's like, what I'm doing is correct and appropriate. They deserve it, kind of more of a thing.
yeah, yeah. I was also, it's kind of like you can figure out where a person is, and you ask them if they're a narcissist. You can kind of figure out through their answer, like what's going on. Um, there was a trend of a video not too long ago about how to ask a narcissist if they're a narcissist, what they'll say, and they'll admit it. And I just thought that was such hogwash. I'm like, it took my therapist, it took my daughter, it took my best friend, it took getting fired from my job. Oh, by the way, my ex-wife was calling me a narcissist before I even considered the fact that there might possibly be something wrong with me. So, like, what the heck? Where did that come from? So I just wanted to throw
Yeah.
that,
Like you're saying, like a narcissist will never think like, am I the problem? Am I the narcissist? Where a lot of times the victims will be like, am I the narcissist? Like I'm acting bad. This is not correct.
yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, it makes sense though. It's like what's it called? I'm missing the word. I don't know. Not bulletproof, but kind of like it's like a way, like a way to not to have your own system shut down, right? It's like a defense thing where it's like you can't see it so that you can continue to be okay. What is it called? Where you're okay with yourself, right? Oh, that's another thing about borderlines. We always feel bad about ourselves, kind of like we're not good, like we're just bad, like we're worthless, we're less than. Where I believe narcissists more believe they are great, like they feel very good about who they are most of the time, right?
Yes, at least that's what we want you to believe. But
Right.
internally, we freaking hate ourselves, internally. And there's so many reasons why we hate ourselves. I just want to throw that out there. We do. We really, 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 truly do. No one on earth is more hated than themselves. But for you, I'm going to tell you that I'm the greatest person alive. You're lucky that you met me. Thank God you met me.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're lucky to have me. So, but
And
that's
I
not
really feel like that. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm so lucky. Like, yes, you're right. You're totally right.
right, because
Ah,
you have intense emotional fear of abandonment, and you're such a perfect victim for narcs. You know, we love people like you. I mean,
yeah, I'm
you know,
like, I have no boundaries. What do you need to know about me? Anything you need to know, like anything that will make me believe that we're becoming closer emotionally, right? There's nothing I desire more than emotional intimacy. And so, yeah, I was going to say, you said like you hate yourself more than,
yeah.
anyone else, but when you're is that only when you're alone that you can like tap into this or while you're being viewed as perfect by your partner, do you also just feel great about yourself or do you still have that reminder in the back that like you hate yourself?
No, it's still there.
It's still there. Okay.
Entire day, think about it. We spend the entire day abusing you. At night, we're left with ourselves. Think about that. So all this energy that we put into abusing the victim, well, at night we have to face it. So, like to a degree, I guess. Well,
Yeah.
like, God, look what I did to her. Like she's been crying 23 hours out of 24. And it slips in and out of our consciousness, but it doesn't stay. So we just start thinking about what they did to us again.
Yeah.
But it comes and goes. Like that song "Karma Chameleon" by Boy George. It comes and goes. It it does.
Yeah.
Us, and sometimes we get depressed, but then that's when we escalate the abuse because we need the distraction from ourselves. If that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah.
Now we have to hurt you. Look what you did to us. You made me depressed. Look at you. It's never about I ignored you for a week. I tried to get you fired from your job, or I called you the B word, or said you look ugly, or you need damn makeup. None of that
Yeah.
matters. What you did though. So
And the silent treatment, man, you guys got that down. That is so effective. I don't know how just a normie feels about it, but as a borderline, we have a very hard time with just neutral faces in general. We always kind of take that as angry faces, you know, or like upset faces. So the silent treatment is genuinely torture. It is like driving us insane trying to figure out why, like, what did we do? Why you're so angry? How can we change it? For myself, and I think a lot of borderlines, it's like I was always trying to fix my mom's mood, right? I always thought I was the problem. Like, if she's happy, it's because of me. If she's upset, it's because of me. So it's like always trying to figure out how. And so when you're with a narc and you're getting the silent treatment, it is like, woof. It is very effective for sure. It's like, wow, I'm horrible. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? How do I fix this now? You know, it's very effective for sure.
The reason why I don't want you to see my face, I don't want you to read my face when it's neutral.
Yeah, I might start crying and just have to get off. It's just, man, I know you're just so angry at me.
Right.
No, that's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Well, well, you know, thank you. I wanted to ask, maybe end it with, what would you say to not just women, but also men, like partners who are with a narcissist and have that hope, right? That hope that with enough love, with enough patience, with enough time, they're going to get back to the perfect relationship they had at the beginning. What would you say to these people? Since you are a narcissist, you are on the other side of that. What would you say to them?
There's no hope. You can't fix these people. You need to get out. You need to run. You need to block them. You need to go into witness protection, basically. You cannot have anything to do with them on any level whatsoever at all. You cannot. You just simply can't. It won't change. It took me losing my job, losing my wife, losing my house, losing my friends, losing my family, all of my daughter, all of that in a matter of a couple months' time, just to even consider the fact that there might be something off. That's what it took for me. All of that, and that didn't even actually work. I mean, long term, because I still ended up repeating the same pattern. But I kind of goofed up. I went into a relationship like right away, and I shouldn't have. I'm totally alone now. I mean, like I, I I shouldn't be with anyone, and so that's why I'm taking my time now as opposed to before. But anyone in a relationship, if the partner is a narcissist, they need to get out and they can't help them. There's only two solid ways that it might work: if they find Christ and if they go to therapy. You can't go to therapy with them because then they'll manipulate the therapist to think that you're the narcissist. You're the crazy.
Yes, yes.
You can't
I've
do
heard
that.
this happen so many times.
So, in short, you have to move on. And I'm all for helping people, loving each other, loving people. But at the end of the day, you have to protect yourself and you have to protect your family. Even if they're
Yeah,
not directly abusing the kids are going to
yeah,
see moms being abused. They're indirectly being abused. So it's a demonic influence. And I think people can change. I don't think it's impossible at all. If they go to therapy on their own and they make progress and they find Christ, it's a possibility. But there's no guarantee, though. There's no guarantee that they will. Most of the time, they'll go to like one session and you'll take them back, and that's the end of it. There's no real.
yes,
There's no. So it's not hopeless, but as a couple, you need time apart. At the very least, a separation. Uh, so a separation, I think, and maybe work on the marriage by being apart. That might possibly work if they go to therapy again, but they're not going to. Most likely, I would
if
say,
anything, the loving thing to do is not to just stay there and be their punching bag. The loving thing to do would be to leave so they could have hopefully a crack in their reality, I guess, right?
by losing you, yes, yeah. But the odds are, if you ask for a separation and they grant the separation, they're going to use the separation to find a new source. So, but if they don't, and they
I don't
still,
know if you can hear me.
huh? What? What'd you say?
Jack, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, are you there?
Yeah.
I don't think I can hear you.
You can't hear me now?
Well,
Am I there?
that was about it for my questions. Again, I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you.
Damn it. You can't hear me now?
Oh no.